And it's beautiful, it's heartwarming, it makes me feel that yes, we can overcome this and we can change by working together. So brothers, and if there's any sisters here, we have amongst us a very special guest, and this mosque falls within that riding, and she's a member of Parliament, and also serves as the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada, and over the first year has tackled some very, very difficult and complex files. Well, anything that's under the Ministry of Justice is always complex. So without further ado, thank you for being here, and Minister, please come and share some words with us.
Sure. Well, first of all, peace be with you. How do you say it?
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
Alaikum.
Galak Hasla. I'm really honored to be here and to be joined by Christine and Bernard, both of whom work in our constituency office. Thank you for sharing the prayer and the meaning behind the prayer and the background with respect to your beautiful house of worship, and I consider it an honor for you to allow me to speak in this room. So I thought maybe I should share a little bit about myself and the people that I come from, because I think that we have, as you say, many commonalities in terms of who we are and our outlook and views on life. My name is Jody. My traditional name is Pugless, and I come from the Muskama, Zawadinuk, and Likwikta people, which is off the west coast of British Columbia, in a small community called Cape Mudge. And I am an Indigenous person and an incredibly proud Indigenous person in this country and an incredibly proud Canadian. And I love the fact, and I didn't know we were going to be filmed, but that's okay. I love the fact that you're talking about community and what community means. Because my people are a communitarian culture. Yeah. And I was always taught, and I was raised in the laws of our big house, which is our system of government, by my grandmother and by my parents, and fundamentally taught to give back to community. And that everybody in our community has a role to play. There's no role that's greater or lesser than the other. They're all important to ensure that the community functions properly. And when somebody is prohibited or inhibited from playing their role, then the community suffers. And I think that these teachings have brought me throughout my life, to going through law school, to being the regional chief, to becoming a member of Parliament, to now in my role as the Minister of Justice. And I think that those teachings, I will always have those teachings, but it actually forms the outlook of my life in terms of how I embrace our country, which is incredibly diverse, people from different ethnic, religious backgrounds that make the mosaic that is our country so strong. And I always knew that I would be involved in social justice issues, and there was an opportunity for me, having the now Prime Minister come up to see me and ask me if I'd be interested in running to be a member of Parliament. I said, I never actually thought that, it was never my plan, but I'm really pleased that we had that meeting, and through a lot of conversations and back and forth, I agreed to run to be the member of Parliament in this riding, which is where I was born and which is where I live. And the reason why I'm so honored to be the member of Parliament for this riding is that we have an incredible diversity of people that live within it, whether like on the socioeconomic spectrum, but in terms of cultural and religious backgrounds. And that's why it's so strong, and I think a microcosm and a reflection of why Canada is so strong. And so, obviously very happy to be the MP, and even more honored to be the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General. And I'll tell you why. For the many opportunities that I have to transform the country in terms of laws, I consider myself the keeper of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the ambassador of the Charter. And I acknowledge the leadership and that you have played in terms of the turmoil and the tragic events that we've seen over the last little while. And I believe that why our country is so great, and I appreciated those reflections. Like, you're a Canadian, and Canadians were hurt in St. Foy, and Canadians were hurt in other places. You're not defined by who you are or how you worship, but I believe, and I've said this many, many times, that as a country, as Canadians, we feel most confident when we firmly believe that we live in a caring and compassionate society under a legal and political system that will protect us, regardless of our race, regardless of our faith, regardless of our sexual orientation, or what have you. And for me, that's what I try to maintain and ensure continues to exist through our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And when I reflect back on the teachings of my grandparents and my ancestors about that sense of community, when parts of our community are suffering, as we witnessed in Quebec, then we have a bigger problem. And I appreciate the comments about our government and standing up for M103, the motion, because we're standing up for who we are as Canadians, and that it's unacceptable to have any type of discrimination or racism that exists in this country, because then our country suffers. So I'm incredibly proud to have a Prime Minister that will stand up in the face of differing opinions to ensure that we hold our place in this country as being caring and compassionate. And one of the things that really struck me, and I reflected this to the Prime Minister soon after the events in Quebec, is everybody was on social media. I had the opportunity to speak with you and see the vigils that happened here and the vigils that happened across the country. But one of the tweets that captured my attention was up in Iqaluit, which is arguably one of the most marginalized communities in the country with respect to the Inuit people that live there. A lot of social challenges, etc. But they gathered around in a circle and held a vigil to honor the victims and to generally be a part of this coming together across the country. It was so powerful. And for me, as an Indigenous person who has never come from anywhere, this is my home and it always has been. And I think what they were reflecting in Iqaluit is what I think, for the most part, all progressive Canadians that live here, whether you came here or you're a newcomer to Canada within the last 2 weeks, whether your family's lived here for 5 years or whether you've lived here for 25 years, or whether you've been here since time lost in memory like my people, this is your home. This is always going to be our home, and we all have an equal responsibility to ensure that we foster that environment. And we were reflecting about the feelings and the togetherness and the solidarity that we have and how incredibly resilient and open Canadians are. It just renewed my faith in why this country is the best, one of the best countries in the world in which to live, and how fortunate we are all to be here. So thank you for sharing a little bit of time with me, and I am a member of Parliament that loves to get back here. I don't get back here as much as I would like, but I would love to continue to return to your beautiful home. So, Yala Kasla, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much. So thank you for those beautiful words, and it comes from the heart of all of us that we are so grateful that you're here, and we all feel at home here, and great writing, because there's some great people. We got cards and letters from all the neighbors here, the buildings, their families. They sent notes saying, we're with you, and they signed a big card, we're with you, and we're with each other. And this is really what makes us all stand out. And this place, but these things happen. And I'll tell you something about Canadians in our community. One thing we've been doing for many, many years is we have during Ramadan, we don't eat during the day, and so for the whole day, for 30 days between dawn and dusk, we observe the fast, and we have an iftar here every night. Every night people come and they open their fast and they have their meal. And it was thought of here. We were thinking, What about our friends that are on the downtown east side? You know, the folks that are in rough shape there. And it was just very slowly, we brought meals out there, a few things here, a few things there. And then hopefully, you know, we went together, Koshafian, Jamea, Kareem, and it's just Aftab Alam and Sabr Khanner. This is our pioneers, our youth. And we all went to the downtown east side. And we had a young guy who just was making his bones in the city, Jeff Banks, who was becoming a candidate. He wanted to serve. And lo and behold, soon they got elected. And one of the very first things that our mayor did, Mayor Gregor Robertson, was join us. And they've been very regular in doing so. And it kind of redoubles our effort and our intention to sort of be the best kind of people we are. It hit me when Justin Trudeau really said that, look, you have a responsibility. If you're doing anything in your community, if you're a community leader, if you're an activist, if you're a volunteer, be the best version of yourself. That's a real thing. It's not easy to do, but it's something that we all have to aspire to, so that at least within our own selves, we can become better, be more effective, and be good to each other, and essentially, you know, fulfill God's plan in this great place that we live. So thank you.
Thanks very much to come here and give us the honors. For last 2 weeks, we have thousands of people. They came with the flowers and candles and shared their feelings and our feelings, each other's.
Yeah, so it's like, it's very, you know, I feel like as a person been living here for almost 30 years now, and we need the support of the government, you know, to help us, to know what's happening. Like, I don't know where to go. I don't know where, like, which place to go to.
And Quebec City has happened. And in all his eloquence, Prime Minister Trudeau, Rona Ambrose, and Mr. Mulcair, and Elizabeth May, they all, it was almost like they had kind of rehearsed and they were reading from the same page. They were all united, dignified, and they all carried the same message, that this is unacceptable and this was a terrorist act.
And this work that our community has done, Faz and I were talking with a gentleman named Yusuf Muhammad, who's done a thing called Blood Without Borders, and he's been giving blood for 46 years. You know, since 1970, since I was born. So we got guys who've been at it.
It's 1 year older than
Yeah. We're the same vintage. So there you go. We care.
They were good years.
They were good years. They're still good years. The flower power was just going through us. But yeah, these are the things. So you know, before we break, Jafar Bamchi is here, and he's works with our brother Shahzad Mansouri on a publication called Al-Amin, and they are also working together with the entire community to go and make this blood donation an important part for our community to help all people. And God willing, we're going to participate in interfaith blood drives and other things to give blood, because blood has been shed. What better way than to give back to people who need it? You know, in memory of those people, it's something very important.
But for taking the stand and standing up and protecting the rights of all Canadians. And I would just like to say, yes, Brother Yusuf Muhammad is one of the highest donors that he talked about in Canada, actually, in donating blood. The number one blood donor in Canada. But his, you know, in the Muslim community, we have some people who are far ahead, and the rest of the community.
It's a drop in the bucket.
So that's the Muslim community. So that's where we are now. You know, from this incident, we are trying to make this into a national blood drive, reaching out to all Muslims and convincing them actually to give. Because it's part of us, you know, there's a beautiful hadith, you save one life, you save the whole humanity. So that's the whole intention behind this blood drive. And we'll be doing a lot more awareness campaigns about open mosque, through which dialogues will happen, interfaith dialogue is happening.
Yeah.
But I think what we need now is more open mosque dialogues, people coming into the mosque to learn about each other. And this is another campaign that will be starting, and probably it will go all across Canada, hopefully. And we really appreciate what you're doing, what your government is doing, and standing up for all Canadians. Thank you for coming.
Ignorance. And if you liken ignorance to a knot, it's knotted. And there's a surah in the Quran about the people who make knots in who you are as people, and that's a curse. You know, to be knotted. Like, and really, when you're able to untangle these knots, you're able to have flow, you're able to be free. And this program, Islam Unraveled, which will be spreading across this nation from this masjid and from masjids all over BC, it's important that we are able to go and overcome ignorance with wisdom and knowledge. And so